Let's kick the tires and light the fires. Yee-ho! Welcome, team, to Next Level JJ. My name is JJ, and yes, today we are getting our F14 dreams off the ground. So, yeah, welcome to my channel. Hopefully you've seen some of my previous streams. If not, that's okay. We're all about playing different games here, and we're building this channel from the ground up. So yeah, come and join us. So as you've obviously read from the title, today we're going to be focusing on playing Digital Combat Simulator, or DCS. Just a super realistic simulator where you can fly jets and helicopters and anything else. Now, for some of you who might have noticed on the schedule that I started quite late, I've had a little bit of fun getting our stream off the ground. I restart my computer before every stream just to wash out some of the cobwebs that might not need to be there. And yeah, for some reason my OBS just completely forgot my microphone settings. I launched, went live, and spoke for a fairly decent amount of time before noticing that was gone. And so, hey, you know what? This is all part of the journey, right? So I've got this nice little checklist that I go through to make sure everything's working. Now I'm going to add that to it too. But glad to have you here. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about me, definitely go and check out my website, nextleveljj.com. I've done a bit of work to it today just to add a little bit more detail, added a few more sections, stuff like that. So go and check it out. I'd love your feedback on it as well. There's a place where you can sign up for a newsletter. Don't worry, I'm not going to be annoying you all the time with things. In fact, it's probably going to be quite cool. I'm going to put in some Easter eggs, and there's definitely going to be prizes up for grabs in the not too distant future, and. So lots of cool things coming in the pipeline. Check that out. Also, my top 100 list. So I want to play a lot of different games. I love playing different games. If you've sounded like John, I love playing. My top 100 list is a list of games that I love to play, that I haven't played before, or I have played it and I'd like to play it again. Long story short, we as a community are going to slowly vote which games to play next, give them a rating, and sort of start putting this big list together. And so if you want to join in that, just go to my website, click top 100 down below, sign up, and then in the coming weeks we'll get this mission going. Also, my schedule's in there, check that out. I try to stick to schedule. I have a good social life as well, and so now and then friends visiting from Denmark can take precedence over a Battlefield stream. I know, but I try to at least adhere to it as best as possible. As we get more into a groove with this channel, I think there'll be like things that are set in stone, and everything else has to move other way for that. I've got 3 things in mind that I definitely want to do. I want to have a meta segment where we focus on a particular game. Right now it's obviously Battlefield, but there could be other stuff where it's like, okay, how do we, from a noob perspective, take this game and learn how to play better? There's a lot of content out there on how to play things really well, but I find in some cases they are a pro trying to explain to a person who's not a pro how to do it, and some of that, flies over your head. So meta segment's one, top 100's another, and then the last one's just, hey, I just want to now and then just play a game that I really want to play for no apparent reason. And so we'll do that. So go and check out my schedule. I'll spend some time tomorrow as well, just updating it for the coming week. Also, importantly, all my socials are there, so do me a favor, go and check them out. I'm trying to get into a good cadence now of posting interesting stuff, cool screenshots, funny videos, things like that, and sort of learning how this actually works. Another thing that we're going to learn how to work is a green screen. So I've got pretty cheap green screen behind me, but she be doing the job, and so we'll stick out with that. On the music side, Stream Beats by Harris Heller. I use them in all my streams. They are fantastic. I've discovered more of their albums. The other day I did a cool Rust stream, and that I used more of their Chill album, and it was really good. So definitely go and support them. They're on Spotify, and of course, one of the great things of using them is that I don't get royalty strikes and things like that. Now, what are we going to do today? So a couple of things. The first thing we're going to focus on is just explaining to you what I've got set up so far to use DCS. Of course, DCS, you can be very complex in the things you have. I think I've dipped my toe in far enough just to get this this series, if I can call it that, on the go. Now, what I mean by series is I would love to take an F14 Tomcat, which is the focus of today, from don't know anything about it except for what Top Gun taught me, all the way through to, you know, being able to do a full mission and understand all the technicalities around it. In a few minutes, I'll start showing it to you. But let's take a step back. What is DCS, you may ask? Now, DCS is very simply a free simulator that you can download. Now, I am not sure if it is available on any of the consoles, but of course it is very much PC. I would be amazed if you can get it on the console. But it's been around for a long time, and obviously DCS stands for Digital Combat Simulator. You can go to the website digitalcombatsimulator.com. And it is free. You can download it, and if I remember correctly, it comes with a P-51 Mustang and a Frogfoot fighter jet. And so you can go and give it a go. And yes, DCS is all about simulation. You will see as we go through this, there are so many things in this program that you can do. But if you just want to fire it up and just give it a go, you can. All right, there are actual settings you can change to make it easy to take off. You know, like typical, like you know, Ace Combat, like one button to accelerate, you know, and then 15 missiles or whatever. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. But you can just pick it up as a complete, you know, noob or a person who doesn't know a lot about flying. But yes, the whole point of DCS is the rabbit holes goes extremely deep. You know, if you go and search online, you'll find lots of ex-fighter pilots or even current fighter pilots using DCS as a way, not necessarily, well, I'm sure they can use it for training as well, but, you know, just to feel the same feelings as they do or did when they were flying. DCS has got a massive range of planes, but it's not just planes. They also do helicopters. Also, the graphics of DCS is unbelievably good. My poor little gaming laptop, you know, she be working hard to get this thing working. But hey, look, that's part of what we're doing here. As our channel grows and we get investment, we can go ahead and purchase better equipment. Good point to then mention, check out my socials. I've got a Patreon channel. All hail the J-Dog. The J-Dog was the first person to join our Patreon. But there's other ways you can support me too, but go and check it out. Now, DCS, as I mentioned, has multiple things to it. It's not just airplanes, right? And so there's helicopters, there's campaigns. That's quite a cool thing as well. Like, there are people spending a lot of time building out campaigns, some of them real world, like stuff that's happened in the past. You can actually go and experience that, you know, sort of whole mission campaign down to the minute, you know, and so forth. But what you'll also find is DCS is free, but, you know, always when things are free, there are money that's going to come from somewhere. And so how they make their money is they do it through the planes that you buy. Now, you know, in some cases, people will kind of shrug at that, like, oh, do I really want to pay? Trust me when I say the amount of effort that goes into not only the modeling of the actual plane and three-dimensional space, but all the things around how its aerodynamics works, its thrust, its engine, but as you can clearly see here, extremely high detail cockpits, and everything in that cockpit works the way it does in real life. And so it means that in some cases, these things can cost quite a chunky monkey amount of money. So as an example, I purchased the F14 Tomcat at full price. And then a few days later it was knocked down by like 40% or something like that. But it is quite an expensive thing. But again, I had no problem paying this because it is something that I've wanted to do as a little kid. And so maybe let's bring it back a step. I'm sure, just like me, you probably watched Top Gun 1 and fell in love with fighter jets. I mean, obviously as a kid, I knew about fighter jets pretty much all the time. It's just one of those things you love. You know, having a little, you know, what were they called? like a die-cast, jet and things like that, as far as I can remember, far back. But of course, Top Gun grabbed that attention. I don't know the stat, maybe I'll Google it one day and we'll share it. But in short, Top Gun made such a massive difference to people enlisting into the Air Force and to the Navy. So it had a massive, profound impact, I guess, globally on people just wanting to become a fighter pilot. Now, it captured my attention, so every time we went to the arcade as a kid, there was a little Tomcat, sit inside, fly thing. It was so cool. And so as I grew up, any games that I came across, right, any games that had jets in them, that was something I gravitated to. And so from a young age, I was already playing things like F-22 Raptor. Though it's not hardcore sim, there was some sim elements to it, I guess. But also, I remember once I had a A10 simulator that I installed. A10, the Warthog, the low altitude, jet with massive, front nose machine gun and stuff like that. But I installed it, and I remember it took me days to get off the ground. It was the first time I experienced something where you don't just push a button and the engine fires up. You have to go through a checklist, and it grabbed me. I really enjoyed it. The pain was worth it. And so ever since that, I've always had this yearning to give it a proper go. And fast forward many years, now that I've got the streaming channel underway, it's something that I want to do and I want to share. And I hopefully, when you're watching this, if you're not a massive DCS player or you didn't even know it existed, maybe this can convince you to get into it. And so we're gonna go on this journey of learning and falling and making mistakes along the way and learning how to become a very good pilot. Okay, now of course this is no substitute for the real thing. Let me be clear. If you think that you can play DCS and then just jump into a jet and fly it, you're making a massive mistake. Fighter pilots, these people train for years and years and years, and they're the top of their classes. But still, there's some little part of me that believes that once I get to the end of this mission and I understand all of the functions of the F14B Tomcat, then just like in Top Gun, I could, just start up a 14 Tomcat with my buddy and then fly out of there. That's the dream, at least. And so yes, we are going to be making this into a series and slowly chipping away at getting better and better and better. And so maybe a little bit about that. And if you're going, please just play the game. Firstly, it's not a game. I'm kidding. But secondly, it's good for us to understand the base of this, because from this point forward, it's going to be a lot more systematic steps. And so if you don't want to understand what I want to achieve, you can always come back to this video. But what we want to do is the dream. Let's start at the end. The dream for me is to start a Tomcat on a carrier at night, or technically early morning, do everything by the book, take off from the carrier in the dark, fly up to a tanker, long distance, refuel, turn in, do a bombing run, and then as we fly out, lo and behold, there's a couple of MiGs that we might have to go inverted on and give them the international symbol of gratitude or whatever, and then do a sunrise carrier landing. That's my dream, but I want to achieve that not just in a like an Ace Combat style, which by the way, Ace Combat is a great game. I want to do everything exactly the way they would do it in real life. And so that will take time, and we will do episodes, and then I'll try to edit these into a nice series that people can watch if they want to do the same journey as me. But it all starts here, all starts today. Now, I did mention that, of course, DCS is quite a complex thing. And so one of the things that can help with this is on the website called Chuck's Guides. So I'll just quickly exit here. chucksguides.com, all right? Unbelievable guides, all right? Obviously, it's not just necessarily, DCS. But as you can see here, chucksguides.com/aircraft/DCS/F14B. I always say F14A Tomcat, that's built into me, but technically the B is the one you want. The A's got the dodgy engine that had basically killed Goose. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch Top Gun, and then yeah, comment below like, ah, all right, that's not good. Is it called compressor stall? I don't know. And so one of the engines would basically flame out and cause the plane to just go into flat spin, and yeah, eject, watch the canopy. Spoiler alert, Goose dies. But back to the guide. As you can see, firstly, holy crap, what a beautiful image to start the guide off. But this guide is what we're going to live inside of. I wanted to spend time actually reading this guide before I started the stream, but instead I invested the time in making sure everything works, including making some cool little videos and stuff, which then all proceeded to fail me immediately after I restarted. So, lessons learned. I might not even do restarts anymore. But look at this. Okay, so obviously they talk about the movie Top Gun. I mean, many people in the world probably wouldn't have known an F-14 existed if it wasn't for the movie Top Gun. But as you can see, the detail is massive. But also there are lots of cool things. Now, if I go back a step, F-14 has always been a two-seater plane. One person in front flying the jet, managing the weapons, person in the back managing the radar, managing the communications. So it's a two-man team. Obviously a Tomcat's a very big airplane, you know, and so it's better that if you have a fighter pilot, back in those days at least, being able to focus on the job that is at hand, which is flying and obviously shooting at stuff, and having the person behind take care of the other stuff. Nowadays, you know, your F-35s, your F-22s, single-seaters, and they can just do all of this computer-wise for you. But back in those days, this was quite an important function for the Tomcat. And so a lot of the plane's actual operations cannot be done just by the pilot. I'm not sure if it's possible, but I assume that if one person got in a Tomcat, they could probably fly it, but they couldn't do everything with it because you need that RIO in the back. And so what this game does for you, though, is that the RIO, or Radar Intercept Officer, and by the way, I know the text is small, I'll zoom in if it's important. The Radar Intercept Officer in this, if you don't have, and by the way, sorry, I digress even more. You can actually play multiplayer and have your friend be your RIO. So we can do a two-seater configuration multiplayer session, which, by the way, at some point I'm going to find you and you're going to come with me and you're going to fly and I'll act as RIO because I want to learn that part too, you know. But as you can see here, if you are playing on your own, you're just flying the jet, you can have Jester, or you really have to basically do certain functions. So basically it's this wagon wheel setup, and then you can go, you know, do this with the radar, or, you know, communicate with that, or check this, and so forth and so forth. So really cool, and that's another thing we'll be learning. But now I'm just gonna fly through this guide and just show you the depth that things goes into. Look at this. Firstly, look at that detail. Of course, I'm running pretty crappy graphics, so it's not going to be as good, but still unbelievable. And again, like I said before, pretty much everything in here works as it should. So we're going to live in this guide. I'm definitely going to invest as we go through each section. You know, like when we come to refueling, let's have a quick look here and let's see if there's anything. I haven't prepared this part. I'm just going to have a look and see if there's anything about refueling. Maybe there's an index. Would there be an index? That would be table of contents. Let's have a look. Takeoff procedure, landing, engine management, aerodynamics, yes. Countermeasures, data link, autopilot, navigations, landing, air-to-air refueling, of course there is. And there we go. And so when I do the episode on just learning how to refuel midair, this will be something I'll study beforehand and will understand. And just look at the detail, again, of this guide, explaining everything, the places to go, how to reform. It's got my inner geekiness going absolutely nuts. So excited about this. But of course, if I want to get to, you know, all right, I know not everything a Tomcat can teach me, but as much as possible that is probably useful. It's 571 pages. So it's a lot. And so I don't expect this Tomcat series of us, this DCS series of ours, to take a couple of weeks. This will be something we'll be chipping away at for a while. And that's where I want your feedback on as well. Like, hey, what should we focus on next? There'll be people that probably watch this and go, dude, that thing that you said is wrong. Or, dude, try this setting. I'm keen for that. Again, the whole point of this channel is for us to take things to the next level. All right, okay, so obviously lots to learn and looking forward to it. But another thing I wanted to just quickly go on into is what is the gear that I'm currently using. Now, I did mention I've got a gaming laptop. It's got a 4050 laptop graphics card. It's okay. It can just play games at a decent frame rate, but definitely something that when this channel starts doing better, I'll be investing some cash into and being able to get better equipment. But gaming laptop aside, there's obviously a use in using a joystick and throttle setup when you're playing jet or flying games. Now, I'm not saying you have to. I've spent a lot of time with a PlayStation controller and a keyboard and a mouse and done a fairly good job of flying stuff. But of course, if you want to feel a little bit more like an actual fighter jet pilot, you're definitely going to want to get yourself a joystick at least. Now, there are massive amounts of options in this space. Of course, you can spend from like $50 for something that literally is just a stick, all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars for something that is pretty much better than what they have in the real jets. But what I landed on was the Thrustmaster T16000. Why there's so many numbers, only they know. FCS HOTAS. All right. Now, when you go and find these online, you can either just buy the joystick, like this dude's got in his right hand. And interesting enough, the joystick actually comes with a lot of functionality already. So the joystick, as you see it here, hang on, let me scroll down a bit, there we go. As you can see here, that whole joystick actually rotates left and right, so you can use it as a rudder. All right. Also down here, it's got a little throttle. So, if you don't have a lot to invest, this is really a good start. There's 6 buttons, on each side that you can configure to do certain things. And then, of course, you've got a lot of things here that you can, adjust and stuff. And, of course, the beautiful trigger. And you will not see that, but as you move it below this, there's an orange thing that actually lights up. Oh, there we go. Like that. But you can also buy it as a set, so it means it comes with both the joystick and the throttle. Now, the throttle, in my opinion, is a worthwhile investment. You can do everything on the keyboard and a joystick, probably fine, but especially what I found is when you're doing realistic landings, you need to have this ability to be able to just modulate a throttle. You need to be able to do that, especially when we're going to do carrier landings. But on top of that, as you can see with the throttle, let's just see if they show a better picture of it here. Show us the throttle. Yeah. So you see here are buttons down here that, again, you keep your hands on the equipment. You don't have to look down to find a button, and especially this one when you're using a targeting pod. If you watch Top Gun 2, you can see him, he's half passing out and he's trying to focus on getting that bomb to land exactly on the dishwashing machine or tumble dryer, whatever it was. That's a useful button because it means it's like a mini joystick. You could just slightly move it around a little bit and to target the right spot. Also, what's quite useful, which again, sorry, I need to scroll down. Here's the button I was talking about. But also you'll see here, this thing is literally a cantilever paddle, and so I can move it left or right, and so that actually becomes my rudder. But what you can also do in this set is, of course, it can also come with pedals. So let's see, did they show the pedals here? All products, maybe I'll go check it out here. Yeah, so you see, I bought this set, which is the HOTAS, but you can just buy the flight pack. And look, that's American dollars. It's good quality. So far, I haven't had any problems with it. And then you can also get the rudder pedals. I'll definitely want to buy that at some point because, again, if you're trying to modulate throttle up and down as you're coming in for a carrier, there's wind, the aircraft carrier is pitching as well, and then trying to, with your pinkies, trying to guide the plane with its rudder, it's not ideal. And so obviously being able to have your rudder on your feet, again, that's another step more into the realistic world, because that's how fighter pilots and normal pilots generally control their rudder. So, but again, start with the joystick if you're just getting into it, and then of course as you go you can eventually upgrade to some sick equipment which will just give you everything and more that you need. Look, this one's a bit cheaper. It's got 2 things built in. Obviously it's a little bit older, but yeah, then some of the stuff is literally modeled after the real things that were in the jets. So look at that. Now, hardware aside, software wise, I am running a couple of things. So the one thing that I've got when you use Thrustmaster is the target command center. Now, interesting enough, you can fire up DCS with the stuff that I've got, and you could probably get off the ground. But of course, fighter jets have thousands of functions, and a lot of those functions are hidden behind key combinations which you'll have to memorize, or you can bind them to your joystick and your throttle and stuff, but they don't have this sort of immediately, like, if you fire up Formula 1 and you've got a G923 steering wheel, bang, everything is pretty much set up. No, you have to put in the time. It's almost like a rite of passage to configure them. And if you go online, there's lots of resources, but there'll be people that configure them differently. And interesting enough, people will configure them differently depending on the missions that they do. So there's certain commands that you need for air refueling, which you wouldn't for a mission where you don't do air refueling. So why would you worry about that? And so I have spent a good amount of time in setting up just the basics, just to be able to fly, for goodness sake. And so if I just scroll along here, of course, this is all the joysticks and throttles and stuff that are in the Thrustmaster line. And then we click next, and now you can see here I've got 2 things connected. Now, interesting enough, what you'll see down here, it's maybe a bit low for the screen that I'm sharing now, but a lot of the functions within my throttle I've turned off, not because they're not useful, but just because, 1, I have to learn how to configure them correctly, and 2, figure out what I want to configure them to. And so the journey is not just learning to fly the plane in a real game, in the sim, but also how to configure stuff to make it easier for me to do so. And so there will be episodes where we'll literally just go, okay, I'll go and study the information, look at people, what they've done, and then basically go, if you want to take a Tomcat, fly it, here is the basics that you need to configure and how. And so we'll definitely be doing that. But anyway, then you get through, and then it's obviously buttons as well. And so you can see here, you've got your joystick and you can configure various things. And then over here, you'll see this actually shows the various commands that I've set up. Cool. Now, another thing that I just have to quickly find here on my screen. Let me just see, where did I put it? So, DCS. That's right. Is it this one or is it this one? This is a very important question. Let me have a look. I think it's this one. Yes. So, hello everybody. This is a configuration map that I used to do some basic configuration. And I'm actually going to need to use that while I'm flying because, for instance, when I'm taking off, all right, from a aircraft carrier, one thing I have to do is I have to literally signal to the guys and girls that are on the flight deck that I am ready to go, throttle full open. And to do that, you have a particular button, but in this place I've configured it to this button down here. So all I have to do is click that button and off we go. But of course I need to pull my landing gear up, and so I can use that button, flaps up, flats down. And again, there's a lot of things that you can configure. Look here, like seat adjustment, what the fang. There's so much in here, and of course not all of that's necessarily going to be useful, but we'll definitely invest the time into it. Okay, so let's get into it. Oh, hang on a minute. Yes, there's one more thing, ladies and gentlemen. So this is quite fun. Let me quickly go and open up here. So when I was thinking about doing the stream, I always look at the technology and go, what is something that I should invest in to make it more fun for me, but learn and take things to the next level. And one of them was head tracking. So you get something called track yeah, of course I pushed the wrong button there. Track.ir, right? So what it is, you simply put a camera on top of your screen and it tracks your head movement. All right, you with me? And so the whole idea here is it gives you a level of immersion that you wouldn't get from just staring at a flat screen. But obviously, you know, it means you don't have to go all the way up into a VR level. But where it's very useful, especially in things like DCS, you do need to be able to look down because there are buttons that you need to flick. There are switches. There are things you need to move around. And you can do that by pushing a button on your keyboard and looking down. But being able to just literally can't turn your head and you can see that, very useful. But very useful as well as in flying, especially in jets, you need to be able to see what's around you. And so what happens if a jet is above you and they're an enemy? You need to keep your eye on them because if you lose sight, you're out of the fight. And so being able to just tilt my head back and be able to keep my eye on a jet makes a massive difference. If you ever played a fighter game in a VR setup, being able to look around is a game changer. But anyway, and so I thought, oh, well, let's check it out. And a good friend of mine, he, you know, is very much into flight sims and just real jets and stuff, sends me cool stuff all the time. He had a track IR system and he actually explained to me how it works and how good it is and so forth. And I was like, all right, we need to do that. Let's check it out. And so I came here, and track.ir is really good, but it's not cheap. And of course, this is good old American US dollars, so it's a little bit more over here in beautiful New Zealand. And so I was, I could probably invest in it, but let's see if there's another option out there. And so started Googling stuff, and I managed to find, well, actually I GPT'd actually, I found something called OpenTrack. All right, free open source software. And what you do is there's a $20 app that you buy called SmoothTrack on iOS and Android. And so what SmoothTrack does, SmoothTrack, as you may know, on the front of your phone, there is a camera that you use to unlock the screen. Now, of course, it's not just a normal camera. It is a camera that is able to map your face. It senses depth. And obviously, it also is able to very clearly see as you moving around and things like that. And so, as you can see by the squid over there, what's happening is my iPhone is set up just in front of me. I spent $20 on that app. And then you connect it, a little bit of configuration needed there. We'll do a stream on that as well. And then you set up OpenTrack. And then in DCS you enable it. And what you'll see, hopefully it'll work, is that when I'm in the cockpit, I'm able to look around and flip switches and obviously look around and track stuff. And it immediately just makes things feel a lot better. I'm actually going to start using it. You know, I want to do a set of Corsa stream soon, but you know, other games that maybe support this as well. All right, so that's it. I've got some tracking software. We're gonna give it a go. Okay, so why don't we turn over into DCS and have a bit of fun, shall we? Right, so I just want to check here. Actually, considering the situation, I can see there's 3 people watching the stream, so please give us a comment. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of the setup? You know, obviously it can be better, but you know, hey, we've got an animated background. Check old dude waving his stick over there. The sun is rising. I should probably speed that up. That'll be quite cool to watch the sun come up in the background. Hey, we're gonna have some fun with it, right? So let's go over to DCS, shall we? So there we go. I'll just turn down Spotify down for now a little bit, and then we'll get into setting up DCS a little bit. Cool. So first of all, let's talk about settings. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time now. We've already covered quite a lot of talking. I want to just get in and fly a little bit. But as you can see here, you know, I'm running pretty low graphics. That's definitely something I'm going to invest some time into. I know that there's really good stuff that you can tweak here, tweak there, do these little things, and it'll give you great graphics without smacking the crap out of your graphics card. Of course, I'm running all of these other applications, including doing a live stream, and so I have to be mindful that, you know, obviously this game is going to chug a bit, but we'll get better stuff. Controls, you don't have to worry, and that's because, let me quickly, before I forget, one of the things we have to do, there we go, is you actually have to run the configuration. There you go. So when you run the configuration in DCS, it then sets up all those controls and so forth the way you want it to. All right, there's VR settings and all kinds of other stuff, but for now this is all we need to do. Okay, now DCS obviously has a lot of stuff, lots of different planes, helicopters. I definitely want at some point invest some time into also learning how to fly a helicopter, but I'll have to purchase a cyclic control for that as well, so that'll be in the future, but we'll get into that. But there's so much here. There's multiplayer. That's a big part of DCS. There are people doing massive multiplayer battles against each other, with each other. There's at their online DCS flight aerobatics teams, like the Blue Angels, right? That's sort of a level of thing. And so, again, that friend of mine that I have, he sends me videos on this. It's amazing. It's like the Red Arrows, but I think it's the DCS Red Arrows or something like that. So there's a lot, all right? But multiplayer is also quite cool because, as I mentioned earlier, we can fly a Tomcat together, me and a friend. And have you 4 friends, 2 Tomcats? How freaking awesome would that be? Comment below. I'd love to hear if you're interested in taking that journey with me. But there's campaigns, there's missions, there's importantly encyclopedias. You can learn about the various things that you do. But also what's very, very cool is you have a mission editor and a campaign builder. So a few months ago, I actually built a couple of missions because I went to my old office and basically set up another person's gaming computer with us. We played online together and basically just had cool little dogfight. So you can create quite easily quite cool missions, but obviously you can go all the way up to building really hardcore situations. But also, I guess, I haven't used this before, but you can do a campaign rebuilder as well. Builder. And so you can actually, I assume, then set up different missions that go back to back to back as part of a campaign. So super cool. But what we can do is training. Now we'll get into this in a second. And by the way, I'm just going to turn this music down. It is cool, but it is a little bit repetitive. There we go. I know I can actually change that as well, so one day we'll do that. So you'll see when we go into training, the planes that come free with DCS is the Su-25 Frogfoot and the P-51 Mustang. And so the really cool thing here is you can literally fire it up and they will take you step by step what button to push all the way through to using everything. For instance, there is one particular mission that I really enjoyed doing. I'm trying to remember which one it was now. It's been a while. But it was this one, yeah. So landing difficult. And so basically you're flying through storm clouds at night and you're basically using only your instruments to land this plane. And it's so nice. It took a few attempts because you're also landing with a crosswind on the shortest runway, but it was so much fun. And so you can for free just go and experience this. Also, firing up a P-51 Mustang, like literally all the buttons that are required that you would do in real life, basically, you go through here. And so it teaches you how to start up that engine from cold, how to taxi, how to take off, how to land, and so basic stuff. So super cool. Ooh, hey, I see here we've got J. Lou. Great choice for the first module. Love the F14. Ooh, mate, I can see by your profile pic that you're a person who loves this kind of stuff. So yeah, man, it had to be the F14. Of course I could go for something a lot simpler. But yeah, this is the way we're gonna go. So yes, then you pop over to remember, this is a complex fighter jet. Not really. The Frogfoot's pretty easy to fly. But then you go over to F14 and you can have a look here. There's quite a good amount of training. Now, pilot cold start, Rio cold start, taking off from the shore, and that's the one that we want to focus on. Carrier takeoff. All right. Navigation, guns, you name it, we're going to be trying it out. But you've probably been watching this for a bit and you're like, dude, just get in. Let's just see what it looks like. And then, we'll take it from there. And so why don't we just quickly go here in mission. I've created a little one here. remember, you got 2 weeks free trial in most of the modules. That's true. So one thing I didn't mention is a lot of the modules, you know, the jets, you can actually try them for a couple of weeks before you have to buy them. And so, you know, definitely going to be trying out maybe some of the ones that I'm not so keen on buying. I'll just try for 2 weeks and then let it go. But there are definitely jets like the F16 Viper, gotta get it. The F14 Hornet, gotta get it. The A10, definitely gotta get it. Because I think I suspect I'll be playing DCS for the years to come. Okay, so let's just fire this up. It'll take a few seconds to load in. But basically, this was a quick little mission that I created very easily. And in it, basically just set up the Tomcat ready to go. It's hooked on and the sun is rising, and obviously I use that, you know, for the intro and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I'm pretty much just ready to go. Just throttle, signal to the guys on the deck that I'm G to G, and off we go. Now, one thing I also need to do while this is working is on my left screen, just quickly familiarizing myself with the buttons that I need to push to firstly get my gear up and secondly get my flaps up. Though I believe I can push G on the keyboard as well, so that should be fine. Cool to have you join the stream, J. Lou. Where in the world are you? And I take it you know a good amount of DCS. How deep is your knowledge of the F14? Now, another thing, DCS is brilliant, but it can crash, I've found, randomly. I've made some tweaks, I've made some page file adjustments and all that jazz, but it can crash, and so we'll try our very best. Alright, but as you can see, head tracking is working well. For $20, y'all. And you see, it's just small movements, okay? I don't have to do anything crazy. I'm still able to see it. So if there's a jet over my right shoulder, I just have to do that. And you can see, my eyes are very much on the screen. And I can pretty much see everything. So just fantastic. Now, what I have to do is if I want to maybe stop moving my head, there's a button that I've configured to actually just lock it, so you can see my head's moving but it's not rotating. That's especially useful when I think the game has crapped itself already. Why do I say that? Well, because I can't turn my mirrors on and I can't go outside the jet. You see, the game is not happy, and so what we will do is we will go. Oh yeah, it's really borked. It's like borked. I'm from Spain. Buenos dias, because it's morning, I guess. So buenos dias, senor. F14 is my favorite plane, so very, very deep. All right, so you understand the lovely adventure that we're gonna go down. But yeah, so of course, as luck would have it, the game is completely freaked out on me. I can't even open up the sub menu for it, so I can't. There we go. Okay, I think we might have fixed it. There we go. It just needed a little bit of love, and there we go. So cool thing about when you set up these missions is you can definitely configure all kinds of skins, but you know, for today, you know, we've got the Maverick helmet on, so as you can see there in the mirrors, there's that. Now, I'll quickly lock the view, and then let's go outside. Yes, it's very loud outside, just like in real life, so I'll turn that down for you guys. But look at her. Ooh, baby. That's a big dream of mine. I know that Tomcats technically don't really fly anymore, but man, wouldn't it be great to just do this and this. Just check those two flight deck operators just chilling there, barbecuing their marshmallows. Whoa. Whew, gets your blood pumping, doesn't it? Woo, baby. All right. Now, a cool thing about that head tracking software as well is, like I said, there's a button I can push to reset. So now and then if I get a little bit out of whack, you know, obviously it's not hardcore like a track IR or something. It loses, it gets a bit confused and so forth. But what I've also done is Ooh, something went wrong over Twitch. Can't watch you over there. Oh, hang on. Thanks for that. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so I use Restream.io, and it's great. It really does a good job. Interesting. So it seems to be jumping in and out of it. Now, you know, maybe it's my internet that's doing its thing. We'll learn. But it says that it's streaming at the moment. So yeah, just maybe it's a beast. Oh yeah, definitely. Try turning it off and back on again like I've done a few times today. All right. So let me just get my stuff back here. Beautiful. Now, J. Lou, do me a favor, mate. I would love for you to, this is not me trying to sell stuff. Go to my website. And just, you know, at the bottom, just send me some feedback. Send me your details. Go and check out my Discord. Send me a message there as well. I would love to play online with you, and you can teach me some of the stuff. You know, I know I can do this whole thing myself, but hey, the more the merrier, right? So it'd be super cool to link up, and, you know, you can fly, I can be a Rio. You know, like I said, I'd love to learn about that. Anyway, so what I was on about was my mouse. So as you can see, if we look down here, I can actually zoom in. And this is very important because, of course, certain buttons, I'll have to operate them. That's right. And so to actually start up a jet, there's quite a chunky amount of stuff that we're going to have to modify and manipulate. By the way, I also want to learn why the hell this screen always seems like you're moving even if you're not. If that's like just the animation they built in, and maybe as you speed up it goes faster, but yeah, one day we'll figure it out. Also, there's different color modes for your cockpit. There's night vision, you name it. Sure, no problem. Awesome, there we go, J. Lou. Gonna be part of a squad. That'll be amazing. And you can zoom out quite extensively as well if you need to. I think I configured a reset button for that. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's just fly a little bit. Now, of course, there's a chance that I can overspeed the flaps and break them if the buttons are not configured. And so I'm just going to zoom in here. So here's our landing gear. All right. You see, when I study the flight manual, I know I will learn where all of these things are. But for now, we'll probably just reset our flaps by using the F button. But we'll find out. Okay, so at least do a little bit of that. I can't even remember which button I had configured to talk to my Rio, so we'll just get going. Okay, so throttle up. Check that the exhausts are working. Yes, baby. And then, if I remember correctly, here we go. Push that button. He signals. You'll see the guy will go down. All right, and here we go. Click. Woo-wee. Okay, and then I think that's gear. And I think that's flaps. Only way we'll be able to see that is just to check. Flaps up. Okay, cool. I think we managed to survive that without blowing up anything. All right. Cool. Also, I'm going to try a different camera mode. There we go. And so this is hopefully going to mean I'm less in your face, but also when I look in a particular direction, it's actually mirrored, so you'll see that I'm sort of inverting it. Anyway, here we go. Imagine doing this in real life. Hey? Right. Let's give her a little bit of boost. And again, that head tracking is just beautiful. I did have to do a bit of configuration. I didn't show it earlier, but there is some settings that you have to change to make sure it works for you. And there's definitely more time that I can invest in learning how to make it even better. But for now, it's working pretty good. Okay, now I did turn the PC sound down for the music, and then typical idiot me forgot to turn it up. So there we go. That's what I can hear now. Now, interesting enough, it's actually quite easy to land the Tomcat on a normal runway, I've found. Then again, I've spent quite a lot of time playing games, and so there's some concepts to landing a plane that you do learn. Oh, a silent Tomcat. What a beautiful thing. Oh, just look at that. Stunning. Cool. Now, J. Lou or whoever else is watching, let me know if this head tracking is making you nauseous. It doesn't make me nauseous, obviously, but I am concerned that it could be making the viewers nauseous, and so the last thing we want to do is that. Now, of course, just do a quick aileron roll just to check that I know what I'm doing. Yeah, right. Oh, just so good. Oh, now you see the screen is going sort of dark. This is me experiencing what's called a blackout. And so basically when you're pulling a high G maneuver like this, what's happening is because you're pulling up, the G-force is pushing all the blood down into your legs. And so that's why fighter jets, the pilots, they wear what's called G-suits. Basically, it's a system that has bladders on your legs that pumps air into it and that stops the blood from flowing out of the top part of your body into the bottom. There's also very sort of hardcore things that pilots do. They tense up, they try to stop as much of the blood going as possible so they can pull a high G maneuver without blacking out. Now, of course, this is not a F-16, and so I can't pull 9 Gs with a Tomcat. I suspect if I tried that, I'd probably rip the wings off of it, which I think I've done before. But also you get what's called a red out, by the way. A red out is when you actually, let's see if I can just quickly do that and see if the game will allow me to do that. So red out is when you do a negative G. So basically I'm pushing down against it. And so now all the blood is going into my head. I don't think it's doing that right now. And so, yeah, red outs are quite dangerous as well because, yeah, you get a lot of blood rushing to your brain. Head tracking is okay. You're doing great. Oh, that's what we want to hear, man. Taking things to the next level. Next thing is we need a sim where I can literally go inverted in real life. Right? There we go. And we're off. Now, quite cool thing about the F14, and by the way, I am not an expert in Tomcats. I want to become one at some point. But, keep the nose up here. F14 is an airplane that has wings that be like a pirate. They have swept wings that can be configured into different setups, basically. And so, of course, I've watched many documentaries, and all the terminology is just flooding out of my head. But in short, basically, the plane can spread its wings out, and that makes it easier to control at lower altitudes, helps it take off, especially from a carrier and so forth. But the problem with these wings is then as you speed up, they actually, cause drag, and they're not as efficient. And so basically it pulls its wings backwards. Interesting enough, if I just quickly go down here, let go, you'll see down here is actually a lever where I can manually control that if I needed to, which is quite cool. But yeah, so it automatically does it for you, and so it'll sweep the wings back, makes, like you can imagine a falcon when it's diving, that sort of a thing. That is exactly what it does. And so very cool. Right. So I tell you what, just for sniffs and giggles, all right? Remember, we did say we want to do training, but I also just proclaimed a few seconds ago that I can land an F-14 without any problems. And so why don't we put our money where our mouth is? Now, I don't remember which button is brake, so we will figure that out. Why am I doing this crazy dive? That's not the runway I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for a runway down there. Okay, cool. Okay, so just a second. I'm just going to quickly go adjust my controls, and we're going to grow air brake. Maybe it's on the beat. Yeah. Oh, welcome to the controls settings for DCS. It's chunky. You know, it's no ASDF here. And by the way, that's just for F14 Pilot. There's Rio, there's all kinds of other stuff. But anyway, let's see here. So let me see. Did I actually configure it on my buttons? It just see zoom, seat retract, brake lock. No. Did I maybe set it up on a different button? No. Brake. Wheel brakes. Oh, no, I did not configure that. So sorry, team. We will have to figure out what the bottom is for brakes. So what I can maybe do is use my trusty GPT button for brakes, air, and wheel. Okay. And by the way, that's a good little tip I can give you. Back in the day, you'd probably want to print out the manual, you'd want to have it next to you, and sometimes you just not find what you're looking for, and then you'd have to Google it, and you'd spend a lot of time digging through stuff. The fantastic thing now with GPT is you can just push a button and bang, you've got this information right in front of you. So right now it's already given me the wheel brakes. You know, for both is the W key. Funny I said that. Yeah. And then extend air brake is B. And so basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be coming in, and I'm going to first I'm going to try and use my air brake now to slow me down. Then I'm going to deploy my flaps. All right. Once I've deployed my flaps, I just want to see flaps up and down. It's configured onto these buttons for me. Good. I will bring my flaps down and then just modulate airspeed, and then try to bring the nose up at the last second, flare, and then just put her down. And then we invest into wheel brakes, which is W. So B for air brake, W for wheel brakes. And you know what? I might as well just quickly go and flaps, and flaps. Yep. Flaps down is Shift F. Okay, so Shift F, W, and B are the buttons that we need to care about right now. Okay, so shall we give it just a go? Hey, I'm probably gonna blow this F14 up now, but let's give it a go. So firstly, throttle's all the way down. Let's bring the nose down. Where's our runway? There she is. B. Deploying a brake. Can't see if that worked, but I hear something. That's always a good thing. Okay. Deploying flaps. Oh, hang on a minute. I just realized that some of the buttons won't work if they are configured. Okay, let's quickly go flaps down as the second button. I shouldn't be doing this while flying. Second button, and then second button. Cool. And gear. Do we have, why is this not pulling up? Give me altitude, thank you. And then landing gear up and down is this button. All right. I think we might be configured for landing, y'all. All right, now we need to give the baby some throttle, because as you can see, she be heavy now. Yep, I know. I'm definitely not doing this by the book, ma'am. Oh, if this works, it'll be amazing. Okay. Tell you what, with head tracking, it's quite tricky, because I'm trying to keep my head still so I can see the middle better. Okay, we don't want to stall before hitting the runway, but hopefully the gear's down. Okay, and wheel brakes, W. Okay, that's not it. So if there's wheel brakes anywhere else. Haha! Well, there we go. Easy, eh? I don't think the wheel brakes are actually working at the moment. Okay, well, right, let's go. Considering the brakes, the button that I'm pushing is not working. V1, rotate, gears up. Flaps up. Oh dear. Yep. The button that I pushed didn't work. And so my Tomcat is broken. That's okay. Mission complete. Oh, right. So that was fun. Okay. Now, interesting, I don't have Spotify configured on this, so let's see if I go to this. Yeah, there we go. There's a bit of music for us in the background. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that so far. I definitely did. Let's see here. Gotta go to work. See you next time. Got into Discord. Next time we can log a coop. Hours in this beast. Got the Rio still fresh so we can go pew pew. Some sparrows and some air refueling for fun. Awesome, Jaglu. Looking forward to it. Try to fix this Twitch stream. It's quite easier to find your content there because we all go Twitch, see people flying DCS, and there's a great community over there. All right, that's very good tips. Yeah, interesting enough, I've every time just sort of focused on getting YouTube to work, and sort of Twitch is a secondary thing here, but I will invest the time. So thanks for that, mate. Appreciate that. Let's just see here. Yeah, anything there that's, you know, cause problems for people? No. Okay. So as I said, what we want to do next is we want to do some training. Okay. Now this is not going to be easy. It's a little bit finicky, and so we'll get going on it, and then we'll go until maybe we get stuck, and then at that point we'll call it a day. And then, as I said, the whole point of today's stream was just to get going, and then from there we want to build and you know, do it right. Cool. So training, F14 pilot cold start. That's what we're doing. That's so cool. You know, as a kid, I could only dream of being able to have this sort of equipment and, you know, having so much fun like this. But to have people actually watching this with me, you know, it's so cool. So if you're watching, you know, shout out to you. It's cool to have you. You know, again, my channel's growing. You know, to have one person watching is a great experience. Now we've got 4, you know, one day it'll be tens of thousands. You never know. Yeah, I'm going to try my best to stay humble and to appreciate these things as we grow this channel. But more importantly, I want us to grow as a community. I'd like to invest time into us being able to set up events where people as one community, you know, within the next level sort of bracket, you know, come together and, you know, play games and, you know, maybe even in-person events, who knows. Okay, so now we're gonna have to concentrate a little bit here because of the fact that now they're gonna start telling us what to do. And yes, that is gonna require some focus. So activate focus phase. Just a bunch of hornets just chilling. Imagine being on an actual carrier.
Good morning, pilot.
Oh, good morning.
I'd like to welcome you to this first lesson in your F14 familiarization package. In this lesson, we will go through the checklist to start up the F14 from the perspective of the pilot. A prerequisite of this lesson is familiarity with the controls and indicators of the pilot cockpit, which you should have gained from studying the aircraft manual.
Oops, I didn't.
As you might know, the F14 has a pneumatic engine startup system, and as it also lacks an APU, we have to order the plane captain to connect the starter air. We also have to order him to hook up the ground power. Do this via the radio menu under category Ground Crew. Please do this now and then press spacebar to continue.
Cool. So just quickly, what I did there, I pushed the backslash button, and then you get these sort of configuration options there. And so I pushed F8 for ground crew, as you said, and then F2 for ground electric power, and F1 to...
Chief, turn on the ground power.
There we go. And so next up, we'll do that again, F8, and as he said, we need ground air supply, I believe
Ground power
it
is
is.
now on.
Let's just see, and F5. Connect.
Chief, connect ground air supply. Copy. Ground air supply is now connected.
Cool.
Now, switch on the oxygen to your mask.
Okay, and so gotta zoom in, and then
The next step is to verify that the wings are in oversweep. Check the wings visually and verify that the emergency wing sweep handle is in the oversweep position, which is the farthest back position. The over flag should also be visible on the wing sweep indicator. Press spacebar to continue.
there we go. So let's move it back down here. And so if I move it all the way forward. How freaking cool is this, by the way? I know if you've played DCS before, this is all new to the normal for you, but for noobs, this is just cool, being able to control that. And so, okay, that doesn't seem to be moving anyways, but he said all the way back, so that is what we... Oh. Uh-oh. Can I not move it back? There we go. Oh, cool, you can use the mouse roll as well to do this. Okay, all the way... Oh, what? Don't know why, but it's not liking me doing that. Anyway. Interesting. Oh, okay, so you can roll it through. That's not very realistic, but it's there. And then the click is... It was up like that. Okay, cool. So we've done that, and we've checked it there. Thanks, Daddy.
Now it's time to verify ICS functionality for communication with Rio and ground crew. To allow communication with the ground crew with the canopy closed later on, set ICS to hot mic. Ask Jester to initiate the non-assisted startup using the Jester communication wheel. The first step on his list will be to check communication. Respond that you can hear him using the Jester communication wheel. Also check that the landing gear position indicator indicates all down and that the transition light is off. Jester will now also start to initiate systems in the back cockpit and will eventually tell you to arm your ejection seat. Do not respond to that yet. Press the spacebar when done.
Okay, so firstly let's put the throttle down to 0. We'll get Jester in a minute, and so we want him to do a non-assisted startup. And so you see there's assisted, but the system says non-assisted, so...
Okay.
ICS comm check. Can you hear me? Okay, aborting startup.
So that's interesting. So, yeah, this is something when I just tried this out, I couldn't see non-assisted startup, which is a bit annoying. But here we go, assisted start. So that means he's going to just repeat everything that this thing is going to tell me. So let's just go for startup. Okay, and we'll push spacebar.
ICS comm check.
Pulling up the master test switch, move it to the LTS position, and then push it in. The master test switch is pulled up with a right click, moved clockwise with a left click, and then pushed in again with another right click. Verify that all warning, caution, and advisory lights illuminate. Coordinate with Rio to check his lights. Use this function to also set the brightness of the ACM panel and the indicator lights. These controls are located on the master light panel. Press spacebar when ready.
Arm the ejection seat.
We'll listen to you later, buddy. You see, already we're out of whack here, so again, things we'll figure out later. Okay, we'll just imagine everything worked perfectly fine there. And then, what's next? Cool, that looks cool, I guess. Spacebar.
Now lift the master test switch and move it to the fire detection and extinguishing position and press in. Check that the left and right fire light below the ACM illuminates, and that the go light on the master test panel also illuminates. Press spacebar when ready.
Right, so check the left and right fire lights below the ACM. And again, see, if you read the manual, you'd know where these things are. And so, naughty, naughty me, I have no idea where it is. So, again, I definitely need to invest a bit of time into that. We will. Okay. Cool, thank you. Zoom out, and next, please.
Finally, lift and switch the master test switch to the instrument position and push it down to check the flight instruments. Verify that RPM reads 96%, EGT reads 960 degrees Celsius, fuel flow reads 10,500 pounds per hour, AOA indicates 18 plus or minus 5, wing sweep indicates 45 degrees plus or minus 2.5 degrees, fuel quantity reads 2,000 plus or minus 200 pounds, oxygen quantity reads 2 liters, left and right fuel flow lights illuminates. Jester should now also confirm that his indicator displays the same fuel quantity. The left and right stall warning lights will also flash during this test.
Cool.
Press spacebar when ready.
Nice. And see, again, he's telling me that Jester should now confirm that, but I don't think he's with me on this one. Sorry, Jester. We're going to do it without you, which I think won't work, right? Anyway, here we go. Zoom in.
Set the master test switch to off.
Done.
Arm the ejection seat using left shift plus E. Jester should have already told you to do so, and he will continue his startup now. Once you've armed the seat, Jester will close the canopy and warn you about it. Recommend you tuck those fingers under your pits. Press the spacebar to continue.
Closing canopy. Check. Ready to start.
Cool. So far, so good. Right.
Now, check and set the following on the ACM panel. Gun rate to desired. Sidewinder cool to off. Missile prep to off. Missile mode to norm. Also verify that the station loading windows correspond to loaded armaments. Press spacebar when ready.
Now, interesting, you can see that this button down here is still illuminated, and so I think that's because I didn't complete all my checks. So let's just do that and go through each and every one. No go. Oh, well, that's not good, isn't it? Hey, that's why it's still illuminated. What do I need to fix, Daddy? Yeah, I'm just looking at the view of myself staring down like this. It's quite funny. Alright. And off. Come on, Daddy. Surely that's enough. Alright, okay, so let's reset our view. We've completed that spacebar.
Verify that the emergency stores jettison push button light is out, and that the ladder light is also out. Press spacebar when ready.
So where is the ladder light? Again, that's still illuminated, but it's fine. All right, let's go.
Wait for Jester to confirm he's ready to start the engines if he has not already done so. Confirm that the air source switch is set to off. Also, set the hydraulic transfer pump switch to off. Press spacebar to continue.
Okay, so... how do I know if it's off? Card must be up. Confirm air source switch is off. You see, so this is air source. But it doesn't seem to be able to move it. Why is that? Can I move something else? Ah. Interesting. So, does that mean it's off? Okay, so, you know what? Let's take a second. So, we'll zoom out. Come up here. I will get Chuck's guide out. And we will go over here. There we go. And then we'll find... restart. We'll start having a look. There. 14. So we'll close this up. 14. Set air source off. So as you can see there, let me zoom in. Oh, there we go. So set air source off. And if we scroll to the right here, 14 shows there. So, high five, I suspect. I think it's off. Also, what was that other one that he was telling us about? So, let's have a hydraulic transfer pump. And so, we'll go back to that. Sorry, it's making my computer work hard here. 15. Set hydraulic transfer pump shut off. And so again, it's up like that. Now, this is the only tricky bit that I can see already here. Is this some of the stuff you can see I have to kind of lean over a little bit to see that it's right. But that does look right. So, okay. Hunky-dory, we G to G. Next, please.
Now, move the emergency flight hydraulic switch to low. Check that the on flag is visible in the emergency flight low hydraulic pressure window. Also verify control over horizontal and rudder control surfaces on the surface position indicator. Press spacebar when done.
Okay, so we're setting it to low. That's a bit easier to see. Okay. Here we go. We're in low. Have a look here. And so check the on flag is visible in the emergency flight low hydraulic pressure window, wherever that is. Also verify control over horizontal and rudder control surface position indicator. Unfortunately, it is not highlighted, so how am I supposed to know? Oh, I know, because I'm supposed to read the manual. Sorry, team, I will read the manual at some point, I promise. Let's center up. There we go. Okay, spacebar.
Next, move the emergency flight hydraulic switch to high. Check that the on flag is present in the emergency flight high hydraulic pressure window. Re-verify control over the control surfaces on the surface position indicator. Deflection rate should be higher than in low. Press spacebar when done.
And so nothing is, I really want to read why these things need to be done. It's fine to just flip buttons, but as part of the startup procedure, I think it'd be really good to actually have a core understanding of what each particular thing does and what happens if you don't do it. And of course, at some point when you fly, you're going to turn on realistic scenarios. And so it's good to understand why am I testing these things. But anyway, okay. Re-verify control over control surfaces. Done.
Move the emergency flight hydraulic switch to auto, low. Check that the off flag is... It is now time to start the engines.
Ooh.
The engine crank switch is automatically held in position when moved to the left or right engine position. It will disengage automatically at 50% engine RPM. When the engine RPM reaches 20%, check for oil and hydraulic pressure and that the start valve caution light illuminates. When at 20%, move the selected engine throttle to idle to actuate the ignition system and fuel flow. Engine light off should occur within 5 to 15 seconds. EGT temperature should peak around 40 to 50% and not exceed 890 degrees Celsius, which would constitute a hot start.
Okay.
If the engine crank switch doesn't return to center after 50% RPM, set it to off manually before 60% RPM. If the start valve caution light stays on, tell the plane captain to disconnect the starter air. Now, right-click to switch the engine crank switch to right for right engine, and when at 20%, move the right throttle to idle.
Okay. Can hear stuff. Don't know what that means. Again, there's so much to take in, and again, I really should be reading up on this beforehand so I can understand why. But okay, why don't we move it up there? And we are doing right, so I've done that. There we go.
Verify that the right generator and right fuel pressure caution lights turn off at 59% RPM and before idle RPM respectively. The engine instruments at idle should read RPM 62% to 78%.
Check.
EGT 500 degrees Celsius nominal. Fuel flow
Check.
950 to 1400 pounds per hour nominal. Nozzle position 100%. Oil 25 to 35 psi nominal, 15 minimum. Flight hydraulic pressure 3000 psi.
Sure.
Then order the plane captain to disconnect external power. When done, press spacebar to continue.
Okay, then order the plane captain to disconnect external power. So here we go. Ground crew, external power. Ground electric power. Off.
Chief, turn off the ground power. Copy.
Cool. And I can confirm the switch has returned to normal.
Ground power is now off.
Okay.
Now, to check the combined hydraulic pressure, switch the engine crank switch to L for left engine, but without moving the left throttle to idle. When the combined hydraulic pressure reaches 3000 psi, switch the engine crank back to off. Press spacebar when done.
Engine crank switch. So back to off. So check combined hydraulic pressure switch, engine crank switch to left, engine without moving, and the left throttle to idle. When combined hydraulic pressure reaches 3000 psi, which I assume it did, switch the engine crank to off. Okay, and then spacebar.
Now, with the left engine spooled down again, switch the hydraulic transfer pump switch to normal. This should pressurize the combined side from the right engine and maintain a pressure between 2400 and 2600 psi. When correct, set the hydraulic transfer pump switch to shut off. Also, if it does not pressurize the combined side within 10 seconds, immediately set the hydraulic transfer pump switch to shut off. When done, press spacebar to continue.
Incorrect. Set hydraulic pump transfer switch to shut off. Also done. I have no idea what that means. We will learn. So to normal. Done. And then quickly, this should pressurize combined side, which I don't know if it did. Pressurize combined sides, 10 seconds, set immediately hydraulic pressure when done. Cool, but only one engine select. Oh, whoa, hey, that's cool. Okay, so spacebar.
Next, start the left engine the same way you started the right one. As a reminder, the engine instruments should read RPM 62% to 78%, EGT 500 degrees Celsius nominal, fuel flow 950 to 1400 pounds per hour nominal, nozzle position 100%, oil 25 to 35 psi nominal, 15 minimum, combined hydraulic pressure 3000 psi. It's now time to tell Jester to start the INS alignment. This process can take up to 8 minutes depending on conditions, so it's best to start it as soon as possible after engine start. It's dependent on the parking brakes to be set and will stop as
Okay,
released.
aborting startup.
To see what Jester sees and how the alignment is progressing, turn on the HSD and set it to TID repeat to see what he sees on the TID. When you see data on the HSD TID repeat, bring up the Jester command wheel and select desired INS alignment quality. In this case, select Fine.
Okay, thank you.
You will now see Jester enter the required parameters for INS alignment, and then select the alignment mode. When the INS starts alignment, the TID repeat shows a status bar with a symbol moving left to right, with extreme right being a final line. The numbers to the left of the status bar show minutes and tenths of minutes in alignment. We are now free to continue our checklist. Press spacebar to continue.
Yeah, so last time I just ran a little demo to test all of this, and I got to this point, and of course, because me and Jester are now completely out of alignment, I'm doomed. And so this is something I will definitely invest a bit of time in to try and see how I can align Jester to this. I'm sure there are many people who've gone through this, but okay, so another problem is that these messages are about to disappear, and so okay, well, hopefully he started that. Okay. I'm just gonna push spacebar and
Turn
hope
on
for the
the
best.
stability augmentation system. Set all 3 SAS switches to on. Set the master test switch to emergency generator. The no-go light should illuminate for about 1 second before the go light illuminates. Press spacebar when done.
Okay, so now turn on the stability augmentation system, SAS. Okay, good. Set master test switch to emergency generator no-go. Okay, but where? Maybe I already did that. Let's hope so.
When setting the master test switch back to off, we simultaneously check the voltage monitor control unit, or VMCU. The following lights should illuminate for just under 2 seconds. Pitch stab 1 and 2, roll stab 1 and 2, yaw stab, Oscar Papa, and out. Spoilers, horizontal tail authority, rudder authority, autopilot, and Mach trim. Set the master test switch to off now and check for the lights. The rudder authority light will not go out until reset by the master reset push button, and pitch and roll SAS switches will now have turned off. Turn both on again.
Okay.
The AHRS light might also illuminate momentarily. Press spacebar when done.
Ooh. Okay, so master test, back off simultaneously, voltage control switch.
Next up is to check the augmenter fan temperature control, or AFTC. Begin by setting the left engine select switch to SEC. The left engine SEC light should illuminate on the caution panel, and the left nozzle position indicator should point below 0. Then, set it back to PRI. The caution light should go out, and the nozzle position indicator should now show 100%. Repeat for the right engine, using right engine select. Press spacebar when done.
Okay, well, I've put it back to PRI.
Now, set the wing external transfer switch to off. Set UHF function selector to both. Set TACAN function selector to transmit receive. Turn on the ARA63 power switch, the remaining displays control switches, and the radar altimeter by scrolling up on the control knob.
Okay. Okay, so that's good. And then this one, I've got a... No. Okay. Cool, that's good, I guess. And then, hello, daddies. To both. And he did say to TR. Cool. Well, so far we're doing alright for a person who hasn't studied this. But I need to go and read the manual. For sure. Okay. I did set it to off. Ah. Still a bit frustrated that this is still not... Maybe I need to leave things for a little bit longer. Oh, what's that? It's something. Now, if you're watching this, please drop a comment. Tell me which button you think I should push next. And no, not the ejection mode. Okay, where were we? So we'll lift, rotate, and set. Ooh. Okay, that's good. That was the test that we were doing earlier. That's just to return by any chance? Nope. Just to be dead. Interesting. Okay. Now the problem we've got here is I have pushed spacebar to move to the next part of the lesson, but unfortunately it has got confused. Alright. We'll continue cycling through our emergency master test systems. I see, so that's where he was saying earlier about the wing sweep test. But again, I skipped there, didn't I? So let's go all the way around and wait for it. See, it says no go. But there was something on this side here, I feel, that he also said I need to do. Okay. Ooh, what does this note say? For magnetic courses, steer by compass. Interesting. Okay, so like I said before, I feel like I got to roughly this point and then it all just went, you know, Pete-tong, as they say. And so I am unable to progress. And so, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wing it. 'cause we got wings. So let's see, if I do this, wingman number 2. Ah, cool. Okay, interesting. So that's just for your actual wingman if you had a teammate. Okay, so that's not talking to Jester. Okay, so why don't we go ground crew and we talk about ground air supply and we disconnect.
Chief, disconnect ground air supply.
Now we're off into a new territory, yo. We are just
Copy.
gonna just give it a go.
Ground air supply is now disconnected.
Oh, thanks, bro. And then I feel like ground crew, we need to remove the wheel chocks. So F4.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks. Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
Okay. So if I give it a bit of a okay, so those are wheel brakes. Okay. Okay. Cool, it's red. Okay, computer says no. If anybody in the comment section can tell me why I am stuck here, that would be useful too. But if not, we will overcome it with force. Okay. Okay, there's the flaps. What's this button do? Hydraulic hand pump. Nope. But that's quite cool though. I love figuring out what that's gonna do. Okay. I feel like this training, there's just something that's just not right. And it's probably because I'm waiting for Jester to do stuff. Let's see. Huh. Let's see, is there anything else? Navigation.
Roger.
Yeah, yeah, that little laugh like, you are asking me something that you shouldn't be asking right now. Well, thanks for nothing, Jester. You know what, this is probably something everybody gets stuck in and it's something freaking obvious that I missed. But again, this part here, this is the problem. And I guess because I told Jester to abort the landing, we probably have to restart the whole thing from scratch. So, okay. Check this move. We're going to just throttle our way out. That was not part of the plan.
The sink rate is...
We're dead. Okay. Cool. I felt that it actually went a little bit better than the first time because I kind of knew where the switches is. And so here's my promise. I'm going to go and read the guide, as I should have beforehand, but I'm going to, let's quickly rotate into that. Let me just do that here. There we go. Bit of Spotify as well. And so what I'm going to do next, I want to do next, maybe it's a better way of explaining it, is of course introduction and Jester AI, control setup, cockpit and equipment, and startup procedure. All right? That's where we need to get up to. Eventually this will all be in our heads, all right? But pilot post start, you can see how Jester is going to be communicating. This all looks quite familiar actually. Remember how she said, you know, turn on the altimeter knob. set the communication up correctly, review these things. This is all radio setup, so I think this is this is actually Rio. So this is what he would be doing or she would be doing in the back. And interesting, I think it would actually be quite cool to hang on a minute. Damn, I hate it when that happens. So unfortunately Spotify then just picks a random playlist and jumps to it, and of course some of it is not royalty free. And so where are we? We're back. Cool. So at some point it'd be really cool to actually be able to go and do both jobs potentially. I don't know if you can jump between the cockpits. I'm sure you can. The seats. All right. Okay, short takeoff. So basically I need to get to... Okay, so that's post start. Roughly around 160 pages. Just to be fair, it's not a lot to read. It's mostly images, so it's probably more like 50 pages. But I definitely need to do this just to understand just some of the key things. Like, hang on, let me zoom into this one here. So remember I was communicating with the ground crew? Here we go. And so ground crew, ground electric power, and these are the ways to connect it. Let's see. Hand signals. All right. You see, a lot of this stuff is so advanced. It's so cool. And of course, this is not done necessarily in the order that the training in the game is. Oh, that's so cool. I can't wait to know what all these things mean. All right, I'll tell you what. Just to get the little flybug ticked, I'm just going to quickly do that same mission again. Just do a takeoff, just do a fly around. I don't know, should we? I could never land it on the carrier. I don't even know how to disconnect my hook at this point. Or bring my hook down. So we will just have a bit of a fly around, finish it off, and I have learned a lot. Like I said, maybe at the top of the stream, I look up to companies like SpaceX or people with that philosophy. You can be a perfectionist. You can spend a lot of time making sure everything's perfect. But the problem is in some cases that can take so long, and there's so many things you don't know. And then by the time you actually do it, if you then fail, it hurts a lot. And so just giving it a go, learning, and then, iterating, learning, iterating. And so I learned a lot. I learned a lot about my stream. Obviously I've got some feedback, on the Twitch side of things need a bit of improvement. And so it is something I've been putting off. I've been focusing on just getting other things up and running. I'm going to focus on Twitch now. So, but here we go. We're in our cockpit. Center everything up. Mirrors on. I should just have that default. And so, hey, everything seems to be working. Let's just see what Jesper's got to say for himself. Nothing. Thanks for nothing, Jester. All right. Let's go have some fun. Signal given. Off we go. And I have to pop out just to see, is my flaps returning? Looks like it. Cool. And so far so good. Quite nice the stars are out as well. Now that's a whole nother thing. I was doing the training for the Frogfoot, and at one point it's teaching you how the radar works and how to lock on and fire missiles, and it's very intricate, and that's a very simple plane to play or to fly, I guess, versus what we get in a Tomcat scenario. But it gives you a new appreciation when you play a game like Ace Combat or the old F-22 Raptor or whatever. It's so easy to just push a button, fire a missile, boom, not like that in the real world. But we'll get there. The important thing is that we're enjoying this, and I am indeed enjoying it. See if we can wake up a few people. I think it's 6 o'clock in the morning, so wake up the cocks. And if anybody panics, that is the name for a male chicken, because it goes. Yep. So easy with this chat. And again, massively impressed with our ooh, listen to that, by the way. You hear the wings making a noise? That tells me that I'm pushing the wings a bit to the limit. But yeah, very impressed with the head tracking. Again, there's some configuration to do, and like I said, with landing it's very hard because I've got to try and keep my head dead still. But yeah, not bad. Alright, down we go. Golf course. And yes, I like golf. At some point we are going to play golf. But maybe do it in a VR sense. It's a bit more realistic. Okay, I've got an idea. We'll do another landing. See if that first one was a fluke. Cool. Now what I've just done with the plane is probably put it into a mild stall. That's all right. So we're going for the same runway as last time, so I'm just climbing out so I could have got a visual on it, and then we'll bring her down. Nice and low. There we go. Make you a little bit nauseous, I guess. I love how the reflection of the cockpit actually shows up. Alright, so brakes activated. Flaps are coming down. Oh good, there's an indicator. I'm just going to pause for a second because again, because my buttons aren't configured, I don't have high trust in the buttons I'm pushing necessarily. And so what I want to do is just go outside and just have a quick look at the configuration. So as you can see here, beautiful view by the way, full low graphics. As you can see, gears down, we've got our air brake open, which is very useful. And as we can see, if you can look at the wings, so I've got my flaps deployed. You see in the front, I think it's referred to as the trailing edge of the wing. You'll see that sort of red sticking out. And so that's basically showing me that now my flaps are deployed. Now, if you don't know much about fighter jets or planes in general, flaps is basically, it just, in layman's term, it just makes the wing even bigger, which gives it a little bit more stability and a little bit more lift at lower speeds. And so generally, you'll just use flaps when landing and taking off, depending on various situations. But so now I've got confidence. The plane is in the right mode for landing. So unpause, bring her in nice and slowly. Again, it might be my experience, but it is definitely an easy jet to land as long as you understand the basics of bringing it in. Okay. Okay, so she's telling us something. That knob in the front is distracting me. But let's not get distracted because we're about to land a plane. See, definitely not as smooth as last time.
Yo, sync rate is too high.
Yeah. We're doing a carrier burn. Carrier landing. But there we go, y'all. Oh, I need to... Oh, shit. And ladies and gentlemen, Tokyo drifting an F14. You only see that on Next Level JJ. That was a highly successful landing, if I don't say so myself. There we go. By the way, if you didn't know, F14s are really good at off-roading, as you can see here. You know, case in point. And I would give that landing a 10 out of 10 on the that was fun scale. Alright. Let's see. Is anything broken? No. Maybe the suspension's a little bit busted, but other than that, we good. Alright. Awesome. Sweet. So, what do we think, guys and girls? Anybody who's been watching this? I really enjoyed this. I truly did. It was definitely not the smoothest sensation. You know, I guess that comes with time. But definitely there was a lot of things that I was able to explain and share with you. And I'd love to hear from you if you found it useful. Again, there are pros out there have been investing 5, 10, 20 years into these sort of things, and so they'll be able to explain these things a lot better. But hey, we have to start somewhere, and you know, one day, a few years from now, we'll be looking back at this stream and the one that didn't happen before it and go, wow, it was a different time back then. But hey, appreciate your time. You know, definitely go and check out nextleveljj.com. You know, there'll be a bit more information about when my next streams are. You know, definitely want to get another DCS one done in the next week or so. But there's other stuff that I'm doing as well. As I said, there's Battlefield coming up. It's been a while since I've done a Hades stream, so definitely going to do that. I'm really, really addicted to Rust at the moment. So there'll be a Rust stream very soon as well. And most importantly, just go and check out my socials, connect with me, you know, like JLU. We're going to definitely set up a flight session. I think he'll make a way better Rio than Jester. So I wouldn't mind doing that. Yeah, but otherwise, just, you know, stay cool. Hope you have a really good day wherever you are in the world, and catch you up soon. Ciao.